Hello everybody, it's Emma here. Thanks for joining me today for a short practice focused around Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana B. So come down onto your mat and join me in a seated position, and we're going to start in bound angle Virabhadrasana. So bring the soles of your feet to touch, and you might want to hop your sitting bones a little closer. And for this version, we'll either take the hands around the toes, or you could hold onto the ankles. And we'll sit tall in the back and just allow the knees to start to draw down towards the mat. And by the way, you can support under the knees with blocks if that feels comfortable, or cushions. Lift up your chest and maybe take your gaze down and look at your feet. Let's stay here for 5 breaths. And let's take 2 more breaths. Good. Let's release the pose. Next pose, we're going to do a twist in Virabhadrasana. So I want you to just release your left leg for a moment and bring your right heel in towards the groin. Lean a little to the right, and then we're going to take this left leg into half a hero. Okay, so we bring the left heel to sit outside the left hip. Now, if you don't like that internally rotated position on the leg, no problem. You will twist in our usual seated twist position, okay? But as long as it feels okay, you'll have one leg, which on this side is your right leg, and your left externally rotated right leg, left leg internally rotated. Okay, let's sweep the right arm up and behind you, whichever version you're doing, and then sweep again, whichever version, left hand to right knee. And then let's sit tall in the back. And as you breathe out, start to rotate just gently to the right side. So early in the practice, we don't want to go too bonkers. So keep lengthening as you breathe in. And optionally when you breathe out, you can twist a little more. Okay, let's come back to face forward. We will release the left leg and release the right leg. So wherever you are, you'll come back to this position. Okay, so let's do the other side. So left heel in or left foot over, and then maybe lean to the left. Take your right leg into half a hero pose, whichever version you're doing. Sweep up and behind with your left hand and hold onto your left knee with the right hand. Sit tall. Rotate, exhale. Okay, come back to face forward. We'll release the right leg first, and then we'll release the left leg as well. Jolly good, how are we doing? Let's do gate pose next. So swing around and come into a kneeling position, a high kneeling position. And we'll step the right foot out and have the arch of the right foot about in line with the knee. And let's take the right hand down the right thigh and reach up high. And as you breathe out, we're going to flex over, so get into the side bridge. This is a variation of gate pose. And you can optionally turn your gaze and look up towards the left side. Keep reaching up and over with your left hand, right hip, and an extension of the arm down the right leg. Good. Let's breathe in. Carefully bring the hands to the mat, right knee in, left foot out. Let's change. Okay, reach high with the right hand and exhale over and just slide this left hand down, but that's a very gentle pressure. Option to turn your gaze looking up to the right. Nearly done. Okay, good. Let's reach up with the right hand. Hands to mat, bring the knees back together. Okay, let's come down to a reclined position. So bring yourself into semi-supine with the knees bent and the feet flat on the mat. And have your feet about hip width apart. We're going to lift up the right foot and cross it outside the left thigh, just above the knee, figure 4 reclined. And then allow your right knee to drop away from the middle of the body. So we don't want that to go so far that the hip on the left starts to lift up. This is just about the right leg. Let's stay for a little longer. So this external rotation of the leg is one of the key actions in Warrior Two pose. So this is how we position ourselves with the front leg. And any limitations that we have here in those external rotators can cause us a few little issues with that knee, foot and hip connection in the warrior. Okay. From here, I want you to lift your left foot off the mat and maybe take your hands in between your legs and interlace behind the left leg. Option to straighten the left leg, sole of the foot to the ceiling. Let's stay for another 5 breaths. Good. Let's release the connection with the left leg. Let the foot drop to the mat. Release the right foot as well. And we'll do that on the other side. So starting position, lift the left foot, cross it outside the right, and then let your left knee draw away from the middle of the body, arms at the sides. And once again, no lifting up from the right hip, just focus on rotating your leg out of the hip socket. Stay for another 2 or 3 breaths. And then let's lift up the right foot, send your left hand in between the thighs, and optionally straighten the right leg. Good. Okay, let's release that connection on the right thigh, bend the knee. Allow the right foot to come down and left foot to join. And then we're going to come up and find our way to our feet. And we'll do a couple of balances. So let's come up into mountain pose. So stand with your feet either together or slightly wider. And we'll take a one-legged mountain and do an external rotation. So bring the weight onto your left foot and then lift your right knee up to hip height and just gently hold it with your right hand. We'll stay here and just get steady. So stay nice and strong in your standing leg. Then we're going to bring the right hand inside, and as you exhale, take your knee out to the side. So we're trying not to bring the spine with us, we're just focusing on taking the knee out and keeping the hips, without forcing, facing forward. If you feel the left hand can help you to balance, by all means, take it out or even overhead. Let's stay for another couple of breaths. And then bring your knee forward and exhale back to mountain. Good. Let's change. So weight to the right foot. Let's lift up the left knee. So get nice and steady and strong through your supporting leg. And then left hand inside the left knee and exhale to find your rotation. So focus on your standing leg and keeping your hips gently aligning forward without any force. Remember, you can use your right hand to help you to balance. Okay, let's bring the left knee back to face forward and mountain pose. Exhale completely. Good. Okay, stand in the middle of your mat, facing the long edge if that's not where you are. And then we'll take a nice wide step. So this step is about, we're not going straight into warrior, but this is about the right step length. And like warrior one, it wants to be about the same width between your feet as the length of one of your own legs, or a little bit wider, because often we like to be a little wider in warrior two than warrior one. Some people say if you bring your arms out to shoulder height, your wrists would be over your ankles. Okay, so you might want to give that a try as well. Before we get into warriors, we're going to do a wide leg fold. So just check in with your feet. They should be parallel and the heels aligned, and maybe just draw your toes ever so slightly in. Have your hands onto your hips and gently lift up the chest and pull the shoulders back. Take a big inhale, and then as you exhale, tip forward from your hips and start to bring yourself maybe to a halfway position, flat back. And take a moment there for an extra inhale and lengthen. And as you exhale, maybe you come down a bit further and maybe hands onto the mat. If your hands lift onto the left, if your hands arrive on the mat, inhale, lift. And exhale, maybe fold and take the elbows back. And maybe walk the hands back as well. Okay, let's stay for about 3 more breaths. Remember to keep bringing the weight forward into the fronts of your feet, to bring your hips more in line with your heels. Okay, let's go for our last round of breath. And then bring your hands back under your shoulders if you need to, and inhale halfway, hands to hips, and then with control, breathe in and come all the way back up to where you started. Exhale completely. Good. Okay, let's give warrior two a practice now. So let's turn the right foot to the short edge of the mat. Check in with the alignment of your heels. Right heel in line with left arch, as long as that feels okay. And we're aiming to have the hips facing the long edge of the mat to the side. So an open hip position. However, as with warrior one last week, we never want to force the hips. And when we start to move the knee, maybe we will need to reconsider the angle at which our hips are facing. Okay, so first of all, let's bend into the front knee. And we want this front foot to be perfectly 12 o'clock. And we want the knee to be in line with toes 2 and 3. Okay, and we're sinking into the knee so that either the knee is over the ankle or just behind it. We don't want to go so far forward that the knee is overshooting the ankle. Okay. Now, if you feel that your knee is dropping into the middle of the mat, there could be some tightness or limitations going on here, which is fine. But what we don't want to do is have that collapsing in of the knee at the same time as we're really trying to force the hips to the side. So if you feel that that's happening to your knee, just gently bring your hips to face just a little to the right hand corner of your mat. Okay, strong back leg. Let's bring the arms up to shoulder height. Okay, now from here, there's no movement of the shoulders. The shoulders stay over the hips. The only thing that happens is a rotation of the neck. So you turn the gaze and look at the middle finger of the right hand. And we'll stay here for 5 breaths. On your next inhalation, straighten your right leg, feet to parallel, and exhale completely. Good. Let's do that on the other side. So as we change from one side to the other, we'll just re-establish the foundation with the feet. So once again, it's either the back arch and the front heel, or if that feels uncomfortable on the hips, maybe try it with the heels in line. Okay, so heels, hips facing the long edge, front foot, 12 o'clock, which is now your left foot. And then we're going to bend into the left knee. So remember, left knee and second and third toes are traveling in line. We also want the hips to be facing the side, but not forced. And if it means that the knee is starting to draw in, because there's not enough rotation, then we allow the hips to follow the rotation rather than forcing the knee, okay? Alrighty, so make sure that you have a nice bend in the front knee. Keep your shoulders over your hips, no leaning forward, and then let's bring the arms up to shoulder height. Soften the shoulders down, and then when you're ready, turn your gaze to the middle finger of your left hand, and we'll stay for 5. On your next inhalation, straighten your left leg, feet to parallel, exhale completely, and then from here you will either step your feet together or jump your feet together, and exhale to release the pose, and in fact to finish our standing work. Good. Okay, let's come down, and we'll finish this short practice with head to knee pose, Janu Shasana. So bring yourself into Dandasana, and have your toes pointing up to the ceiling. Let's bend the right knee and then take the knee out to the side, sole of the foot into left thigh. Sit tall and reach your arms overhead. As you exhale, hinge forward from the left hip and either reach for your foot, the mat, or somewhere along the leg. Inhale, lift, and with a flat back, exhale, fold. And you can gaze at your toe, or you can drop your gaze to look at your knee. So just choose what works for you. And then release whatever you have and inhale to lift up the chest and bring the hands back in. Let's change to the other side. So back to Dandasana. Bring in your left heel, left knee up and drop it out to the side. Walk the foot into the right thigh. Okay, let's inhale, reach up. And from the right hip crease, reach forward, finding your option. Hands to the feet or beyond, on the mat, on the thigh, anywhere you like really. Maybe take an inhale and lift. And exhale, folding down. Then let's release any connections. Inhale, lift the chest and walk the hands back in. Okay, come to a comfortable seat. Okay, thank you for practicing this short little sequence, working up to Warrior Two. Now you could take yourself a little Shavasana. If you still feel like you want to do a bit of movement, why not do a bridge pose, come down to your back and take bridge, and maybe take a reclined twist as well. Make sure that you take at least a minute or two to rest the body in Shavasana before you go about the rest of your day. I'll see you on the next video.